My brother left me and my mom when she was on her deathbed, and it wasn't even that he left that was such a big deal. No, he decided to drain my bank account and take everything that I had to save my mother from her illness. Well, guess what? I finally found him again, and I have some things to say. Could it be possible to hate your siblings to death and yet feel hopeless not being able to do anything about it? I just paid off all my debts that weren't even mine in the first place. I was living the life that I was forced to live, and I was not living the way I wanted to, and yet, in the midst of it all, I had found happiness. But then, everything seemed to have changed, and I feel like I need to vomit the distress out of my life system, or else I'll do something that might make me a criminal. I'm saying this all because he showed up. Hello people, I'm Rachel. I'm 25 years of age, and I've been living with my mom in this house for 5 years. Just a few days ago, my mom, who was my only support in family, passed away because of blood cancer. It's tough, but I'm finding some peace knowing she fought hard till the end. My dad passed away when I was 19. Since then, it's been my mom and I surviving in this modern world of deception and money as much as we could. However, there was someone else in this story. It was my brother Billy. I had a twin and I still have him, but I don't want to acknowledge that he exists, because he does not, for me. Well, there's never been a single day when I did not think of getting rid of his memories and what he did to us. He is literally the culprit who destroyed our lives, and he has been the scar that neither my mom nor I could ever erase. I have so many cuss words to use for him, but I will not, because it'll be like I'm cussing my mother's womb, and that's a sin. After Dad's passing, life was just starting to settle, I was working hard, juggling college and a part-time job to keep the ship afloat. I wanted to build a real future, not just survive day by day, because, Mom was sick, but she was my rock, my biggest cheerleader in this uphill climb, and Billy was in a similar situation, you see. Mom was doing her best to take care of herself and the house until I returned home from college and part-time work. Billy did not want to work, so I didn't push him. Despite our circumstances, I obliged with his wish to not work until he graduates. But within the next 6 months, the situation has gotten worse for us, and we were in debt, and Mom's hospital bills incurred a loss on my savings every month, because the medicine had stopped working, so the treatment had become expensive because of the expensive medicines. And I thought that Billy and I would just work as a team and would take care of all other things together. But then Billy betrayed my trust. The night he vanished with all my savings, it felt like the world collapsed around me. The trust I had in him shattered into a million pieces. It was truly deja vu from when our father passed away, leaving us to fend for ourselves. Billy should have understood the struggle, but he chose to run away from it. The wounds that he left had just started to heal, yet before they could heal properly, he incarnated in front of me all over again, and now I believe my wounds will never get healed truly. You can't imagine how tough it was handling all of that on my own. Life used to be so much easier when Dad was around, and we did not, even discover Mom's illness. We had this farm out in the countryside, and we used to have a condo in the city. Whenever we got tired of city life, we'd escape to the farm, especially during breaks, because that place was like heaven. Peaceful, utterly beautiful, and Dad would teach us horse riding, and Mom was always experimenting with cookie recipes. But after Dad, it all came rushing down, and the year that we lost Father was the same year that we found out about Mom's cancer. It was devastating, and Dad's fatal accident, a big rig smashing into his car, shook us to the core. And then the medical bills piled up with Mom's treatment. We poured every last dollar from Dad's savings, but it wasn't enough. Insurance did not cover much, so we had to sell our condo and move to a smaller one, more affordable house in a different part of the city. Downsizing from a condo to a regular house was a big adjustment, and on top of that, Billy and I had to give up our private tuition, another blow to our routines. I had started working early on, squirreling away money for my college fees, and I juggled jobs and took out loans to keep up my education. And Billy was in the same boat, except he was not contributing financially. Ended up shouldering the burden of both of our fees. It was not easy, but I was determined to make the best out of a tough situation. As soon as Billy gets to college, the requests from money started pouring in. It wasn't about textbooks or living essentials, it was new clothing, the latest gadgets and unnecessary luxuries. I could not fathom why he thought those were priorities, but one day, I had enough. Billy came in flashing a brand new pair of designer glasses, and it was the last straw. I mean, seriously? Designer glasses? I could not hide the frustration in my voice, and he seemed taken aback, almost defensive, saying, "What's the big deal? I need them." I lost it. I rattled off the list of essentials we could have used the money for, tuitions, groceries, bills, but no, he wanted the trendiest glasses, and I remember him of all our responsibilities, and of the family that we used to be, and how we need to stick together. He fired back, claiming I was suffocating him and that he wanted to live his life, and it did escalate into a full-blown argument. In the end, he stormed out, leaving the glasses behind. Within a week of that quarrel, things took a turn for the absolute worse. One night, I came home to find the cupboard where I kept my savings wide open, empty. Billy wasn't home, and I asked Mom about his whereabouts, and she had no idea she was sleeping in her room. Billy had stolen my hard-earned money. I mean, how could he? My phone's battery was dead, so after putting it on a charge, I checked my phone. I'd received notifications from the bank. Somebody had used my debit card to take out money. Every last cent from the account was drained out, and I tried to reach him, but his phone was switched off. Panic and anger battled inside me. I mean, how could he betray our family like this, especially after everything we've just been through? After Billy ran away, life got really messy, really fast. Dealing with paperwork and cops was a bureaucratic nightmare. The legal process was slow and frustrating, and I could only hope for a silver lining. Financially, it hit hard. It wasn't just the money he stole, it was the plans that, got derailed. Bills piled up, and the stability I'd worked so hard for took a nosedive. Robbing Peter to pay Paul became the new financial strategy, and emotionally it was a punch to the gut. Trust, once broken, isn't easy to fix, and every relationship felt tainted by suspicion. I had to constantly battle between protecting myself from further betrayal and desperately wanting to believe in the goodness of others. After the police could not find Billy's location, I took the report back, and at the end of the day, he was his brother. Now, I would like to return to the present because just a few days ago I said my final goodbyes to Mom. It was a harsh reality that hit me the day when I realized that Mom, who was my only pillar of support, and she'll no longer be with me. She's gone, and in the blink of an eye I've become alone, a loner, all alone. I was still fine with this as long as I had good memories of her, but now my brother returns to tinge my memories with pain that he left us with. So yesterday was the day when the lawyer came to my house. He was here to read my parents' will, and although I knew there wasn't much to read about, as we only had a farm left, I still let him do the formality, Just as he was about to read the will, Billy barged right through the door. It was all so sudden that I could not even describe how I felt. The first emotion that I can think of now must have been confusion. My emotions were a whirlwind. Shock, anger, betrayal, all swirling inside me, and just for the extra information, I had not closed the door, so it's not likely that he barged in. The lawyer paused, and I get to my feet, and he walked towards us while saying, how could you read the will without old Billy, Rach? That's when I let it all out, asking him where Billy was when I needed him, and where was all the money that he stole from me. I made it abundantly clear that Mom and Dad had not left him anything, and for good reason, and 5 years went by and nobody had a clue where he was. He never bothered to check if Mom and I were even breathing, and he said that it was none of my business to ask him those questions after Mom and I made him feel suffocated. I shot back. My voice edged with anger. I demanded to know where he's been all these years, and why he thought that he could stroll back and demand a piece of property Mom and Dad left for me. He insisted it was his right, and that I had no authority to stop him from taking what he believed he was owed. I had to set the record straight. making it clear that there was nothing left for him, and I told him that he was deluded, as there was nothing that was given to him, and so he had no right to come back and demand it. Guys, he had the audacity to demand a lawyer. Continue reading, as he wanted to know whether Mom and Dad left anything for him, and I warned him sternly that he did not leave now. Well, I would not hesitate to call the cops. He didn't budge, so I picked up my phone and was about to dial. He said that what I was doing was simply unfair. And I asked him whether the whole thing was fair. What he did to us. He then further said that he would seek the help of the law because it was his right to hear the will, as he was still the son of Maria and Noah last time he checked. I was disgusted that this was his thoughts, and made sure to give him a good hearing. I told him that he stopped being the son of Maria and Noah the moment he stole his sister's money and left his mom and sister to thrive for themselves. Yet he had the nerve to return and demand his share of an asset. After Billy left, I asked a lawyer to read the will so we could be done with this thing as soon as possible. Now, I don't know what to do about Billy. Why has he returned after all these years? For money? He destroyed our lives, and now? Money? He has returned. Please suggest something to me down below. Any input would be really helpful. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Today's story is a wild inheritance drama. I did find some of the top comments from the original post, so we'll read those 2 comments before we hop into update number 1. If you want to support the channel, all you gotta do is click that subscribe button. Here is comment number 1. I can't believe you had to go through all that with your brother, Billy. He's a total jerk, and I'm so glad that you stood up to him. Seriously, who does he think he is? Just waltzing back into your life after all those years and demanding his share of what's left? What the hell, Billy? Get over yourself. You don't deserve anything. I feel like he has only returned to take the money, but how did he even get to know the lawyer was coming to read the will? Wouldn't it be terrible to realize that your brother's been behaving like a stalker? Ugh, it creeps me out just thinking about it. Comment number 2. If I had a brother like Billy, then I'd, fed him to the wolves. Trust me, I could not be more clear in expressing my disgust at his behavior. He is bad news. People are just so selfish these days. I'm an only child of my parents, so I kind of felt bad early for not having a sibling, but reading your story now, I'm feeling thankful to God. He made the right decision for me. God's great, so I'll pray for you, OP. I hope you find a way. If you don't, then just go to the police. Updates number 1. I can't express how thankful I am for the empathetic comments people have been leaving, and felt like a weight off my chest finally letting out what I've had inside for so long. Now, after almost a fortnight, I'm here to give you all an update on the sitch. Billy has become a living nightmare in my life, and he's made my life hell for the past 2 weeks. At first, he was just showing up at my door, and I tried to avoid him by not opening the door at all, pretending as if nobody was home, because I would not make any sound whenever he came. But the situation's gotten worse. He started to show up at my workplace. He was there 2 days ago, and 1 day ago, and even today in the morning because of the guard. He didn't dare to barge in, but he ended up creating a scene right there at the entrance. He started shouting my name outside the building and said I was taking away his right to property, and I was not giving him what was rightfully his. He was making a spectacle of himself, as he did not care about the people passing by and looking at him. He didn't care about the co-workers peeking out the windows with their face twisted in confusion and judgment. I knew I had to keep my cool, though. Engaging with Billy in his current state would only make things a lot worse. I took a deep breath and tried to focus on the task at hand, and I chose not to go outside. Even though I was observing the whole act that he was performing from the window, and I didn't want to feed into his expectations because I knew he was expecting me to come out, so he could maybe escalate his tone and show the world that I was the real criminal in this. I knew that the guards would eventually take care of him in a moment, and they did take care of him, so he was given a stern warning, and people started recording the incident. That's what people do these days, isn't it? Even so, the damage has been done. My coworkers now knew about my family drama, and they were looking at me with confusion and judgment the way the passerbyers looked at Billy. Their judgment weighed on me pretty heavy, so I tried my best to just shake it off. But it was of no use. In the meantime, my boss showed up and he gave me a good hearing in his cabin. I walked back to my desk, feeling defeated by Billy's act. I just wanted to go home and forget about everything that happened. But I knew that I had to face my coworkers and pretend that everything was normal. Later that day, I received a message from an unknown number. It was Billy. He threatened me, saying that his actions would continue to get worse and that he would make my life hell if I did not give him the share. I don't know what's happened to him, and I don't know how he came to have my number. It's just that I'm angry, but I'm tired as well. If there's anything I want the most right now, it's peace. And I want him to vanish all over again just like he did 5 years ago. Do you think I should seek the help of the police, or should I first talk to Billy and get to know his reasoning? Update number 2. I see how so many people have been suggesting that I go to the police. I'm grateful, but I chose to not take that step. I chose a different one. I've been in talks with the lawyer who came to the read of the will of the other day. These past few weeks have been stressful, so I could not really update you. I decided to talk to Billy, give him a share of the property, but on one condition. I decided it's time to face the beast and settle this once and for all, so I took a deep breath and dialed Billy's number. We agreed to meet at my place, and I cut to the chase. Billy, it's about time we sorted this out. I offered a deal, a way to end this bitter chapter. I'm ready to give you your share, but I have 2 conditions. He leaned forward, visibly intrigued and somewhat skeptical, and he asked me not to expect anything from him. And I said that I stopped doing that 5 years ago. He looked hurt. I asked, and I quote, "First, you need to tell me where you've been all these past 5 years, and we deserve to know." Mom deserves to know. However, I did not want to ask him for that because I could not care less. I didn't want to give a damn about him, but if I was going to agree to give him the property, then I had to know right then and there where he's been all this time, and I further said, "Second, before you get a dime of this, you have to return the money that you took from me. It's only fair." It was a split-second answer that he gave me after I was done mentioning my conditions. He said that he could not return the money, and I said that we're going to have no deal then. He hesitated but agreed nonetheless, and I was glad to know that he was at least willing to say yes. He told me that he was living in another part of the city, where he worked in a garage as a mechanic and lived in a trailer paying monthly rent. Then he made friends with whom he moved, and I said that life could have been easier if he hadn't run away. He said he wanted to be independent for the burden of duty, and I told him that he just wasted my money and 5 years of his life, and he shot his eyes at me and said it was none of my business to teach him what wrong could have been right if he had made a different choice back then. I told him I was not concerned about him and only wanted to remind him that he was not welcome at my place after he took what he had come to take. I then demanded that he gives back the money that he stole from me, otherwise he would have no share of the inheritance. If he still tried to create a scene, then I would go to the police for a bit of help. Billy promised to return the money, but he wanted me to give some time, so yes, I agreed with that. So, of course, there's one thing that I have not mentioned yet. The day the lawyer came to read the will, there was actually something else apart from the farm that Mom and Dad left for their children. There were $100,000 left. Mom left a note as well with the lawyer in which she mentioned the reason for not revealing this to me. She said she was aware of her death near her, and if she had revealed that we had $100,000, then I could have gone on to use that for her treatment, which could have been in vain. She left both the farm and the money in my name and wanted me to find Billy just to know he was okay. I felt bad thinking she lived her life keeping that wish in her heart so she didn't burden me emotionally. Billy has returned, so at least Mom would be happy to know that he is alive, but only if I could tell her. But I've also decided to teach him a lesson for what he did to us. Update number 3. Hey guys, it's been 2 whole months, 60 days almost, since I last heard from Billy. I thought maybe he just ran away again because I've asked him to return the money that he stole from me, but I was wrong to think of that. He came late, but he came to return money, although I'm disappointed to say that he returned only half of the money he stole. That worked in my favor only, and I must tell you what I had planned for Billy to make him learn an important lesson the hard way. Do you want to know an interesting thing about my brother? A weakness that I exploited to initiate my revenge. Even though Billy used to enjoy riding horses when we went to our farm during vacation, he usually spent most of the days ranting about the lifeless nature of that place. He ranted about not having friends to talk to, and how the poultry and stables were the dirtiest places on the planet. His words, not mine. One morning after a big rainstorm, the farm was a mess. Mud was everywhere, and we had to work our butts off to clean it up. I found Billy in the barn trying to fix a tractor. He was mad and frustrated, his hands greasy and his brows furrowed. When I got close, he snapped and said, "I hate this place, Rachel. I hate the dirt, the animals, the work. I just want to get out of here." It was clear that the farm was everything he did not like, and it reminded him of the life that he simply wanted to escape. The farm was a symbol of the constraints that he felt, a life that did not align with his dreams and desires. Coming back to today's event, Billy had came to me in the afternoon. It was the weekend, so I was home, and he came without any notice. He looked dull and exhausted, and I asked what the matter was, and he just pulled out a bundle from his pocket and handed it to me. I opened it, and there were notes. He said it's half the amount that he took from me, and I corrected him that he did not, quote, take it. He stole it. I also snapped. "What do you mean by half the amount?" He said that he would return the rest ASAP, and I told him that I didn't trust him. He said that if he did not return the rest of the money, then I could go on and complain about him, and I asked if he still ran away, and he said that I could ask Charlie because he'd know about his whereabouts. I felt the floor sink beneath my feet. He took the name Charlie. He's the cousin who also bolted from his house, but he didn't steal anything. He just wanted to be free of his toxic parents, so I understand. But how could Charlie know about Billy if he didn't care to tell us about him? I was in contact with Charlie, and Billy told me that it was Charlie who told him about Mom's death. He said he met Charlie just a week before Mom's death, and this made me feel less betrayed, to be honest. I was still mad at Charlie for hiding the fact that he knew where Billy was, though. I could have asked him to return and meet Mom one last time. No matter how big of a jerk Billy was for me, he was still someone my mom wanted to see in her last moments. Billy got my number from Charlie, so the texting made sense. Billy said that if I gave him the share, he'd pay me back the rest of the money, and I'd already decided to give him the share, so I told him that I would give him the property. But I wanted him not to expect anything else from me, and he was to take what was given to him and leave after that, and he agreed to my demands. So I called the lawyer, who showed up in about an hour, and until then, Billy was out smoking on the balcony. I pitied him and was ready to talk to him, but only if he apologized to me because he never did. So I spent time doing my work as he stayed on the balcony. Perhaps he only cared about the money. The lawyer arrived, and I handed Billy the document containing his share of the property. He was ecstatic after looking at the document, as he was about ready to read the papers. The lawyer rushed him to sign the papers, which was my plan, and I wanted Billy to sign the papers without reading them. It worked out, and he signed the papers, and the lawyer left afterward, and I asked Billy to leave and read it at his own place, and he obliged and left. I bet he thought he got the best deal, and so now I'm just waiting for his bubble to blow up. Guys, I will keep you updated. Also, I gave him the thing he detested the most, and you guessed it, it was the farm. I kept the money because that was rightfully mine, wasn't it? Update number 4. The day I ended up writing my last update, Billy barged at my door once again that evening. He was very angry, while I was kind of laughing in my gut. I felt happy seeing him like that. Many of you have said how he deserved what he got, so I told him the same before he could even utter a word. I told him that he had finally gotten what he deserved, and he asked how I could do that to him and how I could betray him like that. I asked the same question as to how he could do that to me and Mom and betray us like that, and he was more enraged after hearing this. Billy shouted that he did not give a damn about what we went through because of him.
He said he didn't care as long as he could live a different life that Mom or I could afford to offer him. I was disgusted when I heard him say that. I told him that I tried my best not to put any strain on him, but he said it wasn't enough, and he didn't care about that now. All he cared about was the present. I told him that there was nothing else in the present for him except the farm. If he wasn't happy with it, he was welcome to leave. He said that he had even agreed to my conditions and returned the money to me, and I told him that, first of all, he had only returned half the money that he stolen, and secondly, he was wrong to think that I would just give him some condo or some huge amount of money just because he wanted it. As he was about to get more angry, I dropped another bomb on him. I had a restraining order against him, so I just went ahead and showed him the order and asked him to leave. He didn't want to budge or leave, so I pretended that I was going to phone the police. I asked him to never show up in front of me again, and I did not want the rest of the money he stole, so he could just enjoy his farm and get the heck out of my life for good. He said that it did not end for me there, as he would go on to seek help with the lawyer, and I told him to go ahead and do everything he wanted because I would also fight him to death this time. He stormed out of the house angry, and it's been 2 weeks now. I didn't tell Billy about the $100,000 because I didn't want him to take advantage of the knowledge and make my life even more hellish than he already has. This might be my last update since I have not heard from Billy, and I don't think that I will. So I'm going to leave everything to rest now, and I appreciate your support throughout this. Thank you. Update number 5. Karma is the best. I could not be more satisfied and sad at the same time for Billy because of what I got to know about him. Hey, I'm back for this final update. Although I did say the last one was going to be the final, never mind. It's been about 6 months and I'm back to update you about the aftermath. Well, Billy has not contacted me since I dropped the restraining order on his head that day, but I still want to know what he's been up to with Charlie. So I received a call from Charlie yesterday. After giving him a good hearing about his not choosing to tell me about Billy earlier, I let him speak. He said that Billy was in huge debt and I don't know why. He said that he was already in debt and he might have gone to seek money to borrow so he could return me to some fulfill the second condition. Charlie said that he sold the farm, which was the last straw for him to get out of this mess that he created. I feel genuinely sad for Billy now, but I'm also somehow satisfied that he really deserved it. And it proves that he knows nothing except making wrong choices in life. If he comes to beg me for help, do you think that I should help him? I don't want to think about that for now, but I really want him to apologize before begging if he wants me to consider helping. Anyways, that's all. Thanks again, guys. I hope you have good siblings and are not the ones who betray you like mine. Top comments from the final post. Many congrats, says comment number 1. I can't believe you finally got through this whole mess that your brother created. He's such a vile, mean person that I feel like puking. How could someone be so selfish? I think you should never help a person like that, even if he comes begging you for help. He doesn't deserve a helping hand, not at all. We should never show sympathy or kindness to people like Billy because they only know how to make wrong choices and make things hell for people around them. I wish you luck in the future. Comment number 2. First things first, I'm happy for you. You made it through, and second, I think you can be harsh on Billy, but I know that you can also consider helping him in the end. Yeah, if he apologizes, then you probably should help him and make the right choice. Find a job, earn the good money. It's a capitalistic world, and it's messed up as hell. Siblings messing up with each other is the last thing we could ask for. All the best, by the way.
Alright, to be honest with you guys, I would not have given him the farm. I wouldn't have. That's my opinion. I would have told him to kick rocks. Not only did he steal all the money from OP, but he abandoned them when it was his time to take care of them. But besides that fact, why does he think he can just come back after 5 years, showing no remorse, and just expect to be a part of the inheritance? And the worst part is, OP gave it to him. The farm, which, in my opinion, is probably worth more than the money that was left behind in the inheritance, which was only $100,000. Guys, let me know your thoughts about this story. It was a wild, wild ride. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories like this every day. Inheritance dramas, mother-in-law disputes, in-law problems, cheating stories. We cover it all. If you guys want to be a part of that, the best way to subscribe to the channel is by pressing the big button underneath this video and smashing that like button. Thank you guys once again, I'll see you tomorrow, and remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!